Today we will finish up the story Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Chapter 28. Only Charlie Left. "Which room shall it be next?" said Mr. Wonka as he turned away and darted into the elevator. "Come on, hurry up, we must get going, and how many children are there left now?" Little Charlie looked at Grandpa Joe, and Grandpa Joe looked back at little Charlie. "But Mr. Wonka," Joe called after him, there's only Charlie left now." Mr. Wonka swung around and stared at Charlie. There was a silence. Charlie stood there, holding tightly onto Grandpa Joe's hand. "You mean you're the only one left?" Mr. Wonka said, pretending to be surprised. "Why, yes," whispered Charlie. "Yes." Mr. Wonka suddenly exploded with excitement. "But, my dear boy, that means you've won!" He rushed out of the elevator and started shaking Charlie's hand so ferociously it nearly came off. "Oh, I do congratulate you," he cried. "I really do. I'm absolutely delighted. It couldn't be better. How wonderful this is. I had a hunch, you know, right from the beginning that it was going to be you. Well done, Charlie, well done. This is terrific. Now the fun is really going to start. But we mustn't dilly, we mustn't dally. There isn't any time to lose now than before. We have an enormous number of things to do before the day is out. Just think of the arrangements that have to be made and the people we have to fetch. But luckily for us, we have a great glass elevator to speed things up. Jump in, my dear Charlie, jump in. You too, Grandpa Joe, sir. No, after you. That's the way. Now then, this time I shall choose the button we are going to press." Mr. Wonka's bright, twinkling blue eyes rested for a moment on Charlie's face. Something crazy is going to happen now, Charlie thought. But he wasn't frightened. He wasn't even nervous. He was just terrifically excited, and so was Grandpa Joe. The old man's face was shining with excitement as he watched every move that Mr. Wonka made. Mr. Wonka was reaching for a button high up on the glass ceiling of the elevator. Charlie and Grandpa Joe both craned their necks to read what it said on the little label beside the button. It said, "Up and Out." "Up and out," thought Charlie. "What sort of a room is that?" Mr. Wonka pressed the button. The glass doors closed. "Hold on!" cried Mr. Wonka. Then wham! The elevator shot straight up like a rocket. "Yippee!" shouted Grandpa Joe. Charlie was clinging to Grandpa Joe's legs, and Mr. Wonka was holding onto a strap from the ceiling, and up they went, up, straight up this time with no twisting or turnings, and Charlie could hear the whistling of the air outside as the elevator went faster and faster. "Yippee! Here we go!" "Faster!" cried Mr. Wonka, banging the wall of the elevator with his hand. "Faster! Faster! If we don't go any faster than this, we shall never get through." "Through what?" shouted Grandpa Joe. "What have we got to get through?" "Aha!" cried Wonka. "You wait and see. I've been longing to press this button for years, but I've never done it until now. I was tempted many times. Oh, yes, I was tempted, but I couldn't bear the thought of making a great big hole in the roof of the factory. Here we go, boys, up and out." "But you don't really mean that this elevator—" "Oh, yes, I do," answered Mr. Wonka. "You wait and see, up and out." "But, but, but, but it's made of glass," shouted Grandpa Joe. "It'll break into a million pieces." "I suppose it might," said Mr. Wonka, cheerful as ever. "But it's pretty thick glass all the same." The elevator rushed on, going up and up and up, faster, faster, and faster. Then suddenly, crash! The most tremendous noise of splintering wood and broken tiles came from directly above their heads, and Grandpa Joe shouted, "Help! It's the end! We're done for!" And Mr. Wonka said, "No, we're not. We're through. We're out." Sure enough, the elevator had shot right up through the roof of the factory and was now rising into the sky like a rocket, and the sunshine was pouring in through the glass roof. In 5 seconds they were 1,000 feet up in the sky. "The elevator's gone mad!" shouted Grandpa Joe. "Have no fear, my dear sir," said Mr. Wonka calmly, and he pressed another button. The elevator stopped. It stopped and hung in midair, hovering like a helicopter, hovering over the factory and over the very town itself, which lay spread out below them like a picture postcard. Looking down through the glass floor on which he was standing, Charlie could see the small, far-away houses and streets and the snow that lay thickly over everything. It was an eerie and frightening feeling to be standing on clear glass high in the sky. It made you feel that you weren't standing on anything at all. "Are we all right?" cried Grandpa Joe. "How does this thing stay up?" "Candy power," said Mr. Wonka. 1,000,000 candy power. Oh, look!" he cried, pointing down. "There go the other children. They're all returning home." Chapter 29. The Other Children Go Home. "We must go down and take a look at our little friends before we do anything else," said Mr. Wonka. He pressed a different button and the elevator dropped lower, and soon it was just hovering just above the entrance gates to the factory. Looking down now, Charlie could see the children and their parents standing in a little group just inside the gates. "I can only see 3. Who's missing?" "I expect it's Mike TV," Mr. Wonka said, "but he'll be coming along soon. Do you see the trucks?" Mr. Wonka pointed to a line of gigantic covered vans parked in the line nearby. "Yes," Charlie said. "What are they for?" "Don't you remember what it said on the golden ticket? Every child goes home with a lifetime supply of candy, and there is one truckload for each of them loaded to the brim." Mr. Wonka went on. "There goes our friend Augustus Gloop. Did you see him? He's getting into the first truck with his mother and father." "You mean he's really all right, even after going up that awful pipe?" "He's very much all right." "He's changed," said Grandpa Joe, looking down. "He used to be big, and now he's thin as a straw." "Of course he's changed," said Mr. Wonka, laughing. "He got squeezed in the pipe, don't you remember? And look, there goes Miss Violet Beauregard, the great gum chewer. It seems as though they've managed to dejuice her. I'm so glad, and how healthy she looks, much better than before. But she's purple in the face." "So she is," said Mr. Wonka. "Ah, well, there's nothing we can do about that." "Good gracious," said Charlie. "Look at poor Veruca Salt, and Mrs. Salt, and Mr. Salt. They're simply covered with garbage." "And here comes Mike TV," said Grandpa Joe. "Good heavens, what have they done to him? He's about 10 feet tall and thin as a wire." "They've overstretched him on the gum stretching machine," said Mr. Wonka. "How very careless, and how dreadful for him," cried Charlie. "Nonsense," said Mr. Wonka. "He's very lucky. Every basketball team in the country will be trying to get him. But now it is time that we left these 4 silly children. I have something very important to talk to you about, my dear Charlie." Mr. Wonka pressed another button and the elevator door swung upwards into the sky. Chapter 3. Charlie's Chocolate Factory. The great glass elevator was now hovering high over the town. Inside the elevator stood Mr. Wonka, Grandpa Joe, and little Charlie. "Oh, how I love my chocolate factory," said Mr. Wonka, gazing down. Then he paused, and he turned around and looked at Charlie with the most serious expression on his face. "Do you love it too, Charlie?" "Oh, yes," cried Charlie. "I think it's the most wonderful place in the whole world." "I'm very pleased to hear you say that," said Mr. Wonka, looking more serious than ever. He went on, staring at Charlie. "Yes, I am very pleased indeed to hear you say that, and now I shall tell you why." Mr. Wonka turned his head to one side, and all at once the tiny twinkling wrinkles of a smile appeared around the corner of his eyes, and he said, "You see, my dear boy, I have decided to make you a present of the whole place. As soon as you are old enough to run it, the entire factory will become yours." Charlie stared at Mr. Wonka. Grandpa Joe opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. "It's quite true," Mr. Wonka said, smiling broadly now. "I really am giving it to you. That's all right, isn't it?" "Giving it to him?" gasped Grandpa Joe. "You must be joking." "I'm not joking, sir. I'm dead serious." "But, but, why should you want to give your factory to little Charlie?" "Listen," Mr. Wonka said. "I am an old man. I'm much older than you think. I can't go on forever. I've got no children of my own, no family at all. So who is going to run the factory when I get too old to do it myself? Someone's got to keep it going, if only for the sake of the Oompa Loompas. Mind you, there are thousands of clever men who would give anything for the chance to come in and take over for me, but I don't want that sort of person. I don't want a grown-up person at all. A grown-up won't listen to me. He won't learn. He will try to do things his own way and not mine. So I have to have a child. I want a good, sensible, loving child, one to whom I can tell my most precious candy-making secrets while I am still alive." "So that is why you sent out the golden tickets?" asked Charlie. "Exactly," said Mr. Wonka. "I decided to invite 5 children to the factory, and the one I liked best at the end of the day would be the winner." "But Mr. Wonka," stammered Grandpa Joe, "do you really truly mean that you are giving the whole of this enormous factory to little Charlie after all?" "There's no time for arguments," cried Mr. Wonka. "We must go at once and fetch the rest of the family. Charlie's father and his mother and anyone else that's around. They can all live in the factory from now on. They can all help run it until Charlie is old enough to do it by himself. Where do you live, Charlie?" Charlie peered down through the glass elevator at the snow-covered houses that lay below. "It's over there," he said. "It's that little cottage right at the edge of town. The tiny little one." "I see it," said Mr. Wonka, and he pressed some more buttons and the elevator shot down toward Charlie's house. "I'm afraid my mother won't come with us," Charlie said sadly. "Why ever not?" "Because she won't leave Grandma Josephine and Grandma Georgina and Grandpa George." "Well, they must come too." "They can't," Charlie said. "They're very old and they haven't been out of bed for 20 years. "Then we'll make the bed along as well, and them in it. There's plenty of room in this elevator for a bed." "You couldn't get the bed out of the house," said Grandpa Joe. "It won't go through the door." "You mustn't despair," cried Wonka. "Nothing is impossible. You just watch." The elevator was now hovering over the roof of the Buckets' little house. "What are you going to do?" cried Charlie. "I'm going right on in to fetch them," said Mr. Wonka. "How?" asked Grandpa Joe. "Through the roof," pressing another button. "No!" shouted Charlie. "Stop!" shouted Grandpa Joe. Crash went the elevator right down through the roof of the house into the old people's bedroom. Showers of dust and broken tiles and bits of wood and cockroaches, spiders and bricks and cement went raining down on the 3 old ones who were lying in bed, and each of them thought that the end of the world was come. Grandma Georgina fainted. Grandma Josephine dropped her false teeth. Grandpa George put his head under the blanket, and Mr. and Mrs. Bucket came rushing in from the next room. "Save us!" cried Grandma Josephine. "Calm yourself, my darling wife," said Grandpa Joe. "It's only us." "Mother!" cried Charlie, rushing into Mrs. Bucket's arms. "Mother, mother, listen to what has happened. We're all going back to live with Mr. Wonka in his factory, and we're going to help him run it, and he's given it all to me, and "What are you talking about?" said Mrs. Bucket. "Just look at our house," cried poor Mr. Bucket. "It's in ruins." "My dear sir," said Mr. Wonka, jumping forward and shaking Mr. Bucket warmly by the hand, "I'm so very glad to meet you. You mustn't worry about your house. From now on, you're never going to need it again anyway." "Who is this crazy man?" screamed Grandma Josephine. "He could have killed us all." "This," said Grandpa Joe, "is Mr. Willy Wonka himself." It took quite a time for Grandpa Joe and Charlie to explain to everyone exactly what had been happening to them all day, and even then they all refused to ride back to the factory in the elevator. "I'd rather die in my bed," shouted Grandma Josephine. "And so would I," cried Grandma Georgina. "I refuse to go," cried Grandpa George. So Mr. Wonka, Grandpa Joe, and Charlie, taking no notice of their screams, simply pushed the bed into the elevator. They pushed Mr. and Mrs. Bucket in after it. Then they got in themselves. Mr. Wonka pressed a button. The doors closed. Grandma Georgina screamed, and the elevator rose up off the floor and shot through the hole in the roof out into the open sky. Charlie climbed onto the bed and tried to calm the 3 old people who were still petrified with fear. "Please don't be frightened," he said. "It's quite safe, and we're going to the most wonderful place in the world." "Charlie's right," said Grandpa Joe. "Will there be anything to eat when we get there?" asked Grandma Josephine. "I'm starving. The whole family is starving." "Anything to eat?" cried Charlie, laughing. "Oh, you just wait and see."